In today's culture, society frequently exalts traits like confidence, independence, and emotional detachment from societal expectations. At a glance, these qualities appear to be the ultimate strengths: liberation from the constant craving for approval, resistance to peer influence, and the power to chart one's own path in life. This portrayal suggests a life of empowerment and autonomy. Yet beneath this polished surface lies a harsher, more uncomfortable truth that few are willing to confront. Choosing to live beyond the bounds of mainstream social norms does not pave a smoother road. It often creates an entirely different set of obstacles. Those who step away from the traditional mold are not simply taking a different route. They are walking an unmarked path filled with hidden pitfalls. While the majority move within familiar social frameworks, benefiting from shared understandings, group support, and predictable interactions, individuals who break away from this system are frequently misjudged, left out, or even undermined. This is a core contradiction of the Sigma male identity, a type characterized by a deep sense of self-sufficiency, a commitment to living truthfully, and a refusal to conform to societal expectations. While their autonomy allows them to think independently and act on their own principles, it often places them at odds with a world that rewards conformity and communal affirmation. In many ways, the Sigma male exists as an outsider, not by weakness or failure, but by conscious choice. However, this path of deliberate detachment is far from easy. What lies ahead is a deeper examination of the unseen struggles that come with walking alone, a candid look at why, in many respects, the Sigma male endures a more difficult journey than any other personality type. 1. The black sheep syndrome, the social penalty for independent thought. In most social settings, be it families, workplaces, or friend groups, there exists an unspoken rule: go along to get along. But the moment someone questions a norm, especially by asking why when everyone else seems content to accept things at face value, they risk being ostracized. This is where the so-called black sheep syndrome emerges. Sigma males often find themselves in this role, not because they want to rebel, but because they naturally spot inconsistencies, inefficiencies, or hidden hypocrisies that others either don't see or choose to ignore. Their questioning isn't meant to cause disruption. Rather, it's driven by clarity, logic, and a desire to improve flawed systems. However, instead of being acknowledged as critical thinkers or innovators, they're frequently dismissed as contrarians, troublemakers, or even threats to group harmony. Within family environments, they may be perceived as the ones who make everything complicated, or are told they overthink simple things. At work, they might gain a reputation for being uncooperative or hard to manage, even when their insights could dramatically improve workflows or outcomes. In friend circles, they're sometimes accused of killing the mood simply because they refuse to blindly participate in groupthink or superficial banter. This label, black sheep, sticks because it serves as a psychological defense for the majority. Instead of grappling with the uncomfortable truths being raised, it's far easier for people to reject the source. It helps maintain group unity at the expense of individuality. The emotional weight of this ongoing rejection is heavy. Constantly being the one who is misunderstood, misinterpreted, or marginalized takes a toll. Sigma males often internalize this disconnect, feeling alien in their own skin, as if they're strangers in every room they enter. They're forced to make a hard choice: mute their instincts or stand firm and face isolation. As Seth Godin famously put, the problem with the race to the bottom is that you might win. Sigma males simply refuse to join that race, and society doesn't take kindly to that kind of resistance. 2. The brutal honesty dilemma: why Sigma males see sugarcoating as pointless. Our culture is built on a peculiar form of social etiquette: polite dishonesty. From white lies meant to ease discomfort to sugar-coated feedback designed to spare egos, there's a silent expectation to wrap truth in softness, even when the issue at hand demands clarity and directness. This is often referred to as emotional intelligence, the ability to prioritize feelings over facts for the sake of group cohesion. Sigma males, while fully aware of this unwritten rule, find it deeply inefficient and mentally exhausting. To them, spending unnecessary energy on packaging simple truths in diplomatic language is not only impractical, it's counterproductive. They aren't driven by the need to impress or please. They're motivated by getting things done, solving problems, and moving forward with honesty and purpose. The frustration runs deep. Imagine having a clear solution in mind, but being forced to tiptoe around it to avoid upsetting someone's emotions. What could be said in 5 seconds becomes a 10-minute verbal dance. For a Sigma male, that's not tactful, that's wasteful. They'd much rather cut through the fluff and tackle the issue head-on. They prefer substance over form and clarity over comfort. Yet, this bluntness often backfires. In a world that prioritizes emotional safety over raw truth, those who speak plainly can come off as cold, insensitive, or lacking empathy. Even when their intentions are good and their insights valuable, Sigma males are often misunderstood as being overly harsh or socially unaware. This reality creates a painful paradox. On one hand, they believe in the power of truth. On the other, they are punished for delivering it. Mark Twain once remarked, "If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything." But what he didn't say is that truth tellers often walk alone. For Sigma males, this isolation becomes familiar. They're not trying to hurt anyone. They simply value authenticity and efficiency over empty pleasantries and performative empathy. 3. The isolation paradox. Why forming a real connection feels nearly impossible. In today's hyperconnected world, where technology puts millions of potential partners just a swipe away, one would think meaningful connection is easier than ever. But for Sigma males, the reality is starkly different. Despite endless options, they often feel like they're navigating a desert in search of an oasis. Knowing that what they truly seek is rare and elusive, their unique mindset, emotional independence, and high standards for authenticity make finding genuine compatibility feel almost statistically impossible. While Sigma males can engage in casual conversation and form functional relationships with ease, those interactions rarely scratch beneath the surface. They crave a type of connection that transcends shared hobbies or common experiences. What they long for is a profound intellectual and emotional resonance, a connection where words are not just spoken but understood, where silence itself is comfortable and meaningful. They seek partners who can challenge their mind, respect their solitude, and understand their complexity without trying to change it. This search, however, brings with it a painful dilemma. On one hand, there's the option of settling for relationships that feel emotionally hollow or intellectually uninspiring. Connections that go through the motions but never quite reach the soul. On the other hand, there's a path of solitude, choosing to remain alone rather than compromise on depth and authenticity. Most Sigma males choose the latter, even if it means enduring long stretches of isolation. To them, faking a bond just to avoid loneliness feels like a betrayal of their core identity. The world might offer quantity, but what they seek is quality, and they'd rather wait indefinitely than dilute their standards. For the mislabeling epidemic, how society constantly misunderstands the Sigma male. Modern society has a deep reliance on categorization. People are sorted into personality types, behavioral labels, and social roles in effort to make them easier to understand, manage, or control. You're either an introvert or an extrovert, a leader or a follower, a team player or a loner. But Sigma males live outside these binaries. Their refusal to fit into neat little boxes often leads to them being misunderstood, mislabeled, and marginalized. To the untrained eye, their solitude is seen as antisocial behavior, when in truth, it's a conscious choice to engage only in meaningful interactions. Their quiet confidence is often mistaken for arrogance, when in reality, it stems from self-reliance and an internal compass that doesn't need external validation. And their unwillingness to chase societal milestones like status, money, or traditional forms of success leads many to unfairly brand them as lazy, disengaged, or lacking ambition. These misjudgments don't just stop at perception, they have real-world consequences. In professional settings, Sigma males may be passed over for promotions because they're not perceived as team players, even though they often bring independent insights that fuel innovation. In social circles, rumors may circulate that they're cold, difficult, or emotionally unavailable, simply because they don't participate in shallow small talk or popularity games. Opportunities vanish before they're offered, not because Sigma males lack capability, but because they don't conform to the traditional image of what a leader or ideal employee should look like. Oscar Wilde once said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." But society doesn't always reward authenticity, especially when that authenticity challenges norms. For Sigma males, Staying true to themselves often means paying the price of being misunderstood. They don't ask for sympathy. They simply ask not to be misread. But in a world that fears what it can't categorize, that's often too much to ask. 5. The unintentional intimidation factor. When quiet confidence feels threatening. Confidence is often celebrated as a key to success, attractiveness, and leadership. But in the case of Sigma males, their brand of confidence tends to produce the opposite effect. It unsettles people. This isn't because they walk around with inflated egos or seek to dominate others. Quite the contrary. Their confidence is internal, quiet, and unwavering. It doesn't shout. It doesn't seek applause. It simply is. And this form of self-assurance, one that isn't dependent on approval or recognition, is what makes others uncomfortable. People aren't used to someone who doesn't play by the usual social dynamics. Alpha personalities, who typically thrive on competition and control, find Sigma males disorienting. A Sigma doesn't challenge their dominance, but he also doesn't yield to it. He refuses to enter a power struggle, not out of submission, but because he simply doesn't care to compete. This neutrality is unnerving to those who rely on clear hierarchies. Meanwhile, beta personalities, those who often seek validation or follow the crowd, may find their own insecurities exposed in the presence of a Sigma. The Sigma's emotional independence and self-contained nature serve as a mirror, reflecting back the dependency and self-doubt in others. Even confident individuals, those secure in their abilities, can become uneasy around Sigma males. There's something about a person whose self-worth isn't tied to rank, wealth, or popularity that challenges the very foundation of how society measures success. In professional settings, this quiet power can become a liability. Colleagues might hesitate to approach them, mistaking their composed demeanor for aloofness or superiority. Managers may interpret their independence as a lack of team spirit or resistance to authority. As a result, Sigma males are frequently overlooked for leadership positions, not due to lack of skill or intelligence, but because they don't conform to the expected mold of what leadership should look like. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." But many people feel exactly that in the presence of a Sigma male, intimidated, inadequate, or unsure, without the Sigma ever intending to provoke such reactions. 6. The search for rare understanding. Why Sigma males feel alone even among many. At the heart of every human being lies a desire to be understood, to feel seen not just for what we do, but for who we truly are. For Sigma males, however, this fundamental human need often goes unmet. They can participate in everyday conversations, engage in small talk, or navigate group dynamics when needed. But these surface-level interactions often leave them feeling hollow. What they yearn for is a deeper exchange, one built on shared wavelength, intellectual synergy, and emotional resonance. The reality they face is disheartening. When they do choose to reveal their deeper thoughts, ideas about life, identity, purpose, or human behavior, they're often met with confusion, indifference, or even defensiveness. Most people are either uninterested or unequipped to engage at that level. As a result, Sigma males learn to keep their inner world hidden. They stop speaking their truth, not because they don't have anything to say, but because experience has taught them that few people truly listen, fewer still understand. This persistent lack of deep connection takes a toll. Friendships remain shallow. Conversations feel transactional. Years can pass without encountering someone who genuinely gets them. Over time, many Sigma males retreat into themselves, choosing solitude over the exhaustion of constant misunderstanding. They become their own confidants, thinkers in quiet rooms, voices heard only in their own heads. Albert Einstein once remarked, "The person who follows a crowd will usually go no further than crowd." Sigma males don't follow the crowd, but the price of walking alone is, indeed, loneliness. Conclusion: the high price of authenticity. Sigma males don't seek to be different. They aren't trying to rebel or stand out for attention. Their identity is forged from a deep sense of personal truth, shaped by internal values rather than external trends. But in a world that is structured to reward conformity, compliance, and superficial charm, their authenticity becomes both a weapon and a wound. Their greatest strength, their self-reliance, is also the very thing that isolates them. They face professional setbacks for refusing to play office politics. They endure social rejection for valuing truth over tact. They struggle with loneliness because they refuse to settle for hollow relationships. Yet despite all this, most Sigma males wouldn't choose differently. The path they walk may be harder, lonelier, and filled with more internal battles than most can imagine. But for them, that path leads to something rare. The freedom to live without masks, to speak without filters, and to be entirely, unapologetically themselves. It's a path that few understand, but those who do, understand it completely. Do these ideas resonate with you? If you found yourself nodding along or reflecting deeply on the traits and experiences we explored in this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Sigma male mindset isn't often talked about openly, and your perspective, whether you identify with it personally or have encountered in others, adds valuable depth to the conversation. Drop a comment below and let me know which part hit home the most for you. Have you seen these traits in yourself or someone you know? Your insights help build a community where authenticity and growth are prioritized over popularity and performance. If you're drawn to this kind of introspective, no-nonsense content around Sigma males, psychological strength, emotional intelligence, and high-value living, there's more waiting for you. Explore the other videos on this channel for deeper dives, actionable insights, and raw truths that cut through the noise. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay sharp, stay grounded, and stay unapologetically real. Until next time,